so today's lesson is reading, and over the last few weeks we have been looking at different types of reading questions in the IELTS reading test. Tonight we're going to look at diagram labeling, and to start with we'll just have a look at some tips or strategies for how to best answer this type of question in the reading test. So obviously if you are doing the paper-based test, you can take your pen or pencil and underline the new terms and important names. It's likely that this type of text, if you are expected to do a diagram completion, is that it will be quite detailed with lots of different names of different, because you're expected to label a diagram, then there will be a lot of vocabulary that maybe you are not familiar with. So it's important to just not be too put off by that new vocabulary, but you can underline any important terms and names. The next strategy is to look at the diagram and think which parts of it you can label, not based on your own knowledge, but based on, obviously based on what information you can find from the text quickly. And then check your assumptions by looking back at underlined terms and label the parts that you're sure of. So this is the sort of thing that you would be given for a diagram labeling exercise. This is a diagram of a leaf, and you can see here number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, all different parts of the leaf. Number 3 refers to the whole leaf itself. Is that clear so far, Avniel? Is that clear for you?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, thank you. All right, so this is a nice kind of easy diagram. I'm just going to take you through to a different diagram just to have a quick look. Like for example, this one, it's a bicycle, and unfortunately it didn't come out very clearly in the Word document, but you can see that it's got a lot more parts to it that you need to complete, and so some diagrams are more detailed than others. And the last diagram I want to show you is this one, where we've got just 3 parts that we need to label. So number 1, number 2, and number 3. It's very hard to see. I'm sorry. It's the type of document that I've used from the internet. So just going back to our strategies for how to label a diagram. Just going to keep looking at. Okay, so the example that we're going to look at first is to label the parts of a leaf on the diagram below. Choose one word from the reading passage for each answer and write your answers in boxes 1 to 4 on your answer sheet. Okay, so remember this useful technique. Underline new terms as you read, but in this example, we've underlined all the new terms for you. Okay, so the very first thing that I always recommend candidates to do when they get their reading text is to look at the title, just to get an idea of what the text is about. Okay, do you know the meaning of leaves, Avniel? Do you know the meaning? Yes, you do? You know the meaning? Oh, remember I can't hear you, sorry. So just type your answer in the box. Do you know the meaning of leaves and plants? I'm sure you do. Just type, remember I can't hear you, I'm afraid. Not sure why, but yeah, I can't hear you. Okay, so the first thing that we do is we look at the title and get an orientation of the topic. And the reason we do that, we don't spend long, maybe just a few seconds. You're not really sure. Okay, all right, thank you, that's fine. So if you're not sure about any words in the title, then you start to read the first paragraph, just to see if there are any other words there that can help you identify the topic. So for example, here's a word here, plants. Okay, then we've got trees. We've got the word summer. So any of those words you will probably know, right? Plants or trees. Yes. And so the idea of just getting a quick idea about the topic is so that we know that we're dealing with, in this case, we're dealing with nature, something to do with nature. It's not, for example, technology, it's not education, it's not food, it's not travel, it's to do with nature, the environment. Okay, so once we have an idea of the topic, we go straight to our diagram, because that's the strategy we always use for reading. Hi, Neela. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Neela? Okay. So we go straight to our question or our diagram before we read the text. We never read the text. We don't have time to read the text. So we read the title and then we go straight to the questions. Okay, so this is the question part here, which is the diagram, and we are expected to label this diagram. So we've got number 1 here pointing here, number 2 pointing to the middle part here, number 3 refers to all of the picture, and number 4 refers to this is types at the end of the leaf. Can you hear me, Neela? If you can hear me, just put yes in the chat box for me. And Avneel, if you have any questions, remember, just ask me at any time, okay?
Yep.
All right. So obviously we are looking for all the language that is to do with the leaf. So in this first part, we have a little introduction about plants, and it doesn't mention any details about the leaf. So we just need to keep reading through until we find more information about leaves. So here we have our first introduction to leaves, which is the leaves are the organs for photosynthesis, a process when carbon dioxide is turned into oxygen. Now, the structure of leaves, so here we have leaves again, the structure of leaves are adapted for efficient photosynthesis. Okay, then we move on to see that all of this paragraph here, oops, that's not quite the right tool I want. One moment. That's better. But all of the paragraph that I'm showing you now has got some language about the leaves. So starting at the top, most leaves are broad and so have a large surface area, allowing them to absorb more light. Also, they are thin. So they're broad, which means wide, and they're thin, which means that they're not thick, which means a short distance for carbon dioxide to diffuse and oxygen to diffuse out easily. The blade is the broad, flat part of the leaf. Okay, so the blade is the first word that we've been given, and the blade is the broad and flat part of the leaf. So now I'm going to take you to the diagram again. And can you see in the diagram anywhere that looks like it's broad and thin and flat? Which part of the diagram? You can just tell me the number. Just remember to put your answer in the chat box.
3, then?
Remember, okay. That's it, right, number 3. Thank you, Avneil. Okay, so number 3 is referring to the whole leaf. Okay, the whole leaf is broad, meaning wide, and flat. And if we look at our other options, 1, 2, and 4, no, because number 4 is obviously just a part of the leaf that they're looking at there. Number 2 is just the line in the middle. And number 1 is something in the middle of the left part. So our answer is number 3. Okay, well done. So we'll go back and keep reading now for other parts. Okay, so going down here, if you look closer at leaves, you will notice networks of thin threads. Those networks are called veins. They support the structure of the leaf and transport substances to and from the cells in the leaf. The main vein of a leaf running down the center of the leaf is called midrib. Okay, I'm going to just highlight this word here, center. So we've got veins and we've got midrib. Okay, so keep those words in mind. As we go to the diagram, we can see that number 2 here is pointing to the middle of the leaf. All right, so the middle of the leaf is, in other words, the center of the leaf. Okay, so choosing a word that I have underlined here, we can either choose a thread, thin threads, or we can either choose a word vein, the word that's underlined, or we can choose the words midrib. So which one do you think it is for number 2 or number 2? So there's number 2, they're pointing to the line that goes down the middle, and number 1 is pointing to something just on the left of the middle. So which one do you think it is? Which one is number 2? You can type your answer. Okay, so veins. So looking at the diagram again, we can see that, yeah, okay, all right. So number one is what you want to say for veins. Is that right? So I'll type that in. Number 1 is veins. Is that what you want? And number 2 is midrib. Yeah. Okay, very good. Yep. So the reason that we've got that answer is because the veins support the structure of the leaf and transport substances to and from the cells in the leaf. Now, the problem with this picture for this Word document is that you actually can't really see the lines on the leaf. But if you were to look at it like closely, you would see that there are lines in the leaf which are very easy to see if you have a good picture of it, right? But this picture is not very clear. So yes, number 1 is veins, and so number 2 is midrib. And the reason for that is because of the line down the middle, right? The line down the middle is called the main vein of a leaf, and it's been given the name midrib. So they use the word center of the leaf, and as you can see, the center is there. Okay, so that's a fairly simple diagram that you can maybe expect in a reading test, but sometimes they are more difficult. Okay, so just for the answers for those questions, answers and explanations. Arrow near the number 1 points to the little threads in the middle of the leaf. After you look at the underlined words, you'll see what's written in the 4th paragraph. If you look closer at leaves, you will notice networks of thin threads. Those networks are called veins. So the correct answer is veins or vein. The second arrow points to a large vein in the center of the leaf. The last sentence of the 4th paragraph says, the main vein of a leaf running down the center of the leaf is called midrib. So the correct answer is midrib. Number 3, the bracket near number 3 captures the main part of the leaf. The third paragraph tells us that the blade is the broad, flat part of the leaf. Thus, the correct answer is blade. Okay. Do you have any questions at this point? Hello, Hamish, welcome. Any questions at the moment about diagrams? Well, it seems quite easy at this point. Okay. Now, looking again at the diagram, we've still got to do number 4 here. So, number 4, if we keep reading the text, we can see it says the area of some plants that connects the plant's stem and leaf is called the petiole. The petiole is the pipeline through which the products of photosynthesis are moved from individual leaves to the rest of the plant and through which necessary chemicals and nutrients from other parts of the plant are brought to individual here. So the key word here is we've got this verb connect, and then we've got stem and leaf. So connecting a stem and a leaf. So this is the leaf here, and this is what we call the stem. Okay, a little part at the bottom is called the stem. All right, so our answer to number 4 is petiole. Okay, any questions? So the petiole is the answer.
Petiole.
There were 4 questions there that we needed to answer. Now we're going to have a look at another reading, and this time the diagram is of a bicycle. I'm not able to really see very clearly these numbers. How about you? Can you see those numbers clearly? Can you see the diagram clearly or not very clearly? Yeah, that's what I was worried about. It's always a worry when you can't see something clearly on the diagram. Okay. Let me see if I can somehow just type in the numbers beside each one. So that's number 1. That's number 2. Oh. Okay, number... Hang on a minute, guys. I might be able to do this a different way. Just bear with me. Just seeing if I can find it on the internet, and then I might be able to put it onto another document. So sorry about this. I have got the copy now of it. I'm just wondering whether or not save as.
खाली बतावे है कौन सी एग्जैक्ट वर्ड दिखा जाए ट्राई कर.
Okay, let me see now if I can. Oh, where are we?
तो मन था कौन सा है उन गाने में आपकी लड़का की लड़की है. कैसे बनता ये ला. हाँ तो उनका देखा दिखाया जाएगा.
Okay.
तो क्या बोलता है?
I can upload a new document. One moment.
तुम मत है बैठे मोटिवेशन देख लिए कुछ नहीं या टिप टिप में बैठ के देख करेगा
अभी आंसर पूछ जाएंगे
तो हम कैसे जानता है
मैंने कुछ नहीं करेगा क्वेश्चन करिए एक इधर उधर करिए कुछ नहीं
मोटी हमें समझ में नहीं कौन सी करता हूँ
Can you see that now a bit better? Can you see the bike? Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's great that we can see the bike. Now I'm just wondering where my other document's gone. All right. So, Avneel and Neela, have you got your phone with you, your cell phone, or even just on your computer? Can you take a screenshot of the bicycle so that I can then go back to my other document? Can you take a screenshot on your phone or on your computer for me? And then I will just go back to the other document. Thanks. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, let me just see if I can. Oh, hang on. Okay. All right, so we'll go back now to the bicycle reading. Okay, so you guys have definitely got a picture of the bicycle in front of you? Yeah? Great. Okay, let's have a little bit of time just looking at the bicycle. And so this picture is not very clear, but so if you look at your picture and I'll be talking to you as I look at my picture. So number 1 is on the right-hand side and it's pointing to the top of the bike. Number 2 is pointing to a seat. Number 3 is pointing to something down the bottom there. Okay, let me just go back and... Okay, so number 3 is pointing to the bottom there. Number 4 is, where are we? Number 4 is pointing to something here by the pedal. Number 5 is referring to something, a black circle there. Number 6 is referring to part of the handlebar. Number 7 is referring to that part there. Number 8 is referring to, where are we? Where's number 8? Number 8 is referring to that whole piece across there. Number 9 is referring to that part there. And number 10 is referring to that part there. So it's important that you keep looking at your picture while we read the text together, okay? Okay. So starting at the beginning, this first part of the description is not relevant. It's just talking about how to ride a bike when I was a very young person, but I never really knew how much about what each part of the bike was called. And it moves on to talk about the actual parts of the bike now. The most known part of a bicycle saddle, often called a seat, is one of 3 contact points on an upright bicycle. Okay, so that word saddle, also known as a seat, can you find it on your diagram and tell me the number? Number 2. All right, that's perfect. Thank you. Okay, so number 2 is the seat or the saddle. It's a place where you sit while riding a bike. A bicycle saddle is commonly attached to the bicycle frame. So here's an important word, attached. Oh, no, I don't want text, sorry. Attached to the bicycle frame. Okay, so we've got bicycle frame, got bike frame. So looking at the diagram again, we can see that number 2 is attached to the bicycle frame. So can you see what number the frame is? The seat or the saddle is attached, is connected to the bike frame. Well done, that's correct. Okay, well done, Avnil. Okay, so that's number 2 and number 8 done. The main component of a bicycle onto which wheels and other components are fitted. Cyclists often attach a bottle of water to the underneath part of the frame called a down tube. So here we're talking about the water bottle. So look at your diagram again and see, can you see the red bottle there, bottle of water? So they're saying cyclists often attach a bottle of water to the underneath part of the frame called a down tube. All right, so look where the red bottle is and look which number is pointing to that long metal part down the middle. Can you see the number there? Correct, well done. So then we move on to the second contact point of the bicycle is a pedal, the part of your bicycle that you push with your foot, you probably already know this, to propel the bicycle. The pedal provides the connection between the cyclist's foot or shoe and the crank arm. Okay, so looking again at the pedal, you can see it's number 3 there. Okay, and then in the reading, it talks about the pedal provides the connection between the cyclist's foot and the crank arm. Foot and crank arm. Okay, so can you see very close to the pedal, there is another arrow pointing there to what they're talking about is the crank arm. Can you see which number that is? On your diagram?
लड़की भी कुछ देश के थे Oh,
Yes. Yes, that's it. Number 4. Well done. Well done. Okay. Keep reading. The crank arm turns the chain and propels the bicycle's wheel. All right. The crank arm turns the chain and propels the bicycle's wheel. So looking again at number 4, you can see that there's a piece of metal coming down, and what that does is it propels the chain, which means it makes the chain go round. Can you see the chain there? Yeah, what number? Great, excellent. Okay. Now the dark round detail in the center of the back wheel is called the cog set. It is used as speed transmission mechanism. So the dark round detail in the center of the black wheel, in the center of the back wheel, you can see there the back wheel, and in the middle of it, what is that? Okay, number 5. Well done. Okay, so the last contact point of the bicycle is bicycle handlebar, the steering mechanism for bicycles. You put your hands on the bicycle handlebar and drive your bike by turning it to different sides. Okay, so looking at your diagram again, we're looking at the top of the bike to the right where you put your hands. So it could be number 1 or it could be number 6. So number 1 or number 6. So handlebar, you put your hands on the bicycle handlebar and drive your bike. So it could be number 1 or number 6. Okay, so before we do that, before we decide that that's number 1, let's keep reading to see what the other number refers to, which is number 6. And the steering, the handlebars are attached to the stem, which goes down and connects with a fork. Okay, let's look at the diagram again. So on the right of the bike, we've got number 1 at the top, number 6 in the middle, and number 7 Okay. So you're saying that number 1 is the handlebar, and number 6 would be which thing, Avneil? Hi, Kat. Hi. So we've got stem and we've got fork. So stem, okay. So number 6 is the stem. All right, so number 1 is the handlebars. Number 6 is the stem. And number 7 is going to be the fork. All right, great. Number 7 is the fork. That's really good. Okay, so we've covered all of the words in the bicycle diagram, which is great. But let's just go back and have a look at some of the language that helped us to do that. And when you're labeling a diagram, it's important to recognize language that helps you to see where parts are connected. Okay, and so let's have a look to see whether we can find some language. So the first word here that I have highlighted, can you see it? Can you write it in the chat box? What verb is that?
Attached question Moti? हाँ.
A bicycle saddle is commonly attached to the bicycle frame. So the verb attach, right, it's a verb. And so that helps us to identify two parts of the bike. We've got the seat or the saddle, and then we've got the bicycle frame. Okay. So, oh, sorry, we didn't do bicycle frame, did we? Let me just, so bicycle frame was number 8. Did we do number 8? Let's see. Yes, we did. We did it at the beginning. Yeah, okay. All right, so attach is one word. Can you find any other words here on this page? Okay, remember we're looking for verbs that help to locate other parts of the diagram. So we've looked at attach. Now we're going to find another verb or a word that can help us to identify location.
Pedal मतलब कि web.
So somewhere down here in this paragraph, can you see a word that helps us to locate two parts and put them together?
Push your foot. कौन लिखी push your foot?
Push your foot. Yep, good. That's definitely language that helps us locate where it is. If you look further down, we've got this noun connection. All right, and the verb form is connect. Okay, so provides the connection or connects the cyclist's foot or shoe and the crank arm. So there we've got the pedal is connected to the crank arm. So you see how these verbs are helping us to locate where other things are in the diagram? Oh, I want to erase this. Okay, so anything on this page that helps us to identify or locate?
तुम रोम रहे. पता नहीं उसका आंसर नहीं था.
Any prepositions of place, maybe?
यहाँ पे होना चाहिए.
Okay, so we haven't got a verb here, but we've got a preposition of place, a center. So here we've got the dark round detail in the center of the back wheel. So that's another word that can help us locate where things are. Okay, anything else there? Okay, what about the next the next page? What word do we see there to help us?
Attached, ना?
Attach and connect.
Connects. हाँ.
So those are the common words that have been used in the description of the bike and what parts belong where. Okay, so we're going to do another reading now, but like I got you to do last time, I need you to just bear with me while I get that picture again of the beetle dung.
कोई मंजित भी ऐसी दास ना? एक घंटा स्पीकिंग.
कितना बजे हम ब्रेकफास्ट बजे?
Okay.
पास होता क्या देखी नहीं?
All right, so I just want to see if you guys can see.
तो Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, can you see that picture? Can you see it? It's not clear, but we can see that that's number 6, number 7, and number 8. Is that okay for you guys? Yeah? Okay, so you can take a photo if you want, or I can just keep switching between the two documents. But now I'm going to go back to the reading of this picture. And all right. So the reading is called Dung Beetles. And how many of you know the meaning of beetle? B-E-E-T-L-E, beetle. Do you know the meaning of beetle? Not sure? Okay, so keep reading down here to get more of an idea of the topic. What words do you recognize in this first part? Any ideas? Any word at all that you recognize?
Cowpet. मतलब मुझे बोलो.
Cow. I'm sure you know cow, right? Anything else? What words do you recognize here? We're just getting an idea of the topic first. Are you there, guys? Are you there? Can you type your answer in the box? What do you think the topic is for this reading? Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, so the title is Beetles. Imagine we don't really know the meaning of beetles. So we're going to go down and we're just going to see if we can recognize anything here. So we've got cow and we've got pets. Still not sure. Cow pasture. We've got the word digging and environment and ecology. Okay, all right. So I'm going to tell you what these words mean generally. So a beetle is an insect, And cowpat is cow, I don't know what you would say in your language, but in English we just say poo. Cow poo. Okay. When cows go to the toilet, you know, big brown thing, that's what they call a cowpat. So dung beetles are beetles that live in the cow poo. Do you understand? Okay, so what they're talking about here is the different types of beetles, because there are different types from different countries. So after we have done a little bit of a read of the title in the first paragraph, we go straight to the questions and look at the diagram. So let me just switch to the picture again. Okay, in the box we can see that there are 6 types of beetles. We've got French, Mediterranean, Australian native, Spanish, South African ball roller. And we need to choose, right, from these 6, which ones go for questions 6, 7, and 8. So for question 6, we'll need to be looking at the measurement on the left here, which is the centimeters of how deep these tunnels are. Right, so roughly here we're looking at about 15, 16 centimeters. This one here, number 8, we're looking at about 9 centimeters. And this one here, number 7, we're looking at about 30 or more centimeters. Okay. Okay, does everyone understand what we're looking for? Okay, another key word that we look at is this word here, depth. What does depth mean? It comes from the word deep. Yeah. Okay, so, and up here you can see cowpat or dung. So that's what we're talking about before. We're talking about the cow poop, cow poo on the ground there. And then these beetles go down and they dig under the ground and they make tunnels. Okay, so our job is to find out which beetle does that type of tunnel, which beetle does that type of tunnel, and which beetle does that type of tunnel. Is that clear? Okay. So remember, we have got 3 different types of tunnels, and this first part of the text doesn't give us any information about how deep they go down. Okay, but anyway, we keep reading until we come to some language about France, which is one of the types of beetles, and then we have our first reference to a measurement, which is 30 centimeters. Okay, remember that we're looking for the type of beetle that goes 30 centimeters down under the ground. Okay, so 30 centimeters here, and here is about 19, and here is about 9. Okay, so 30 centimeters is what we're looking at there. All right, so reading below here, below France, excavate tunnels to a depth of approximately 30 centimeters below the dung pad. So we've got this word France, okay, and in our choices we've got French, Mediterranean, Australian, etc. So which one do you think would go for number 7? Which word? Okay, oh, very good, excellent. Let's go back and let's do number 6 and number 7. Okay, so keep reading. These beetles make sausage-shaped brood chambers along the tunnels. The shallowest tunnels belong to a much smaller Spanish species that buries dung in chambers that hang like fruit from the branches of a pear tree. So this is quite an important word here, shallowest. And then we've got South African beetles dig approximately 20 centimetres. So try and remember South African 20 and Spanish is the most shallow. Okay, do you want to have a try? So number 6, they were talking about 20, and then they were also talking about the most shallow, the shallowest. Can you remember which is which? Number 8 is Spanish. Okay, very good. And number 6. South Africa. Okay, good. Okay, the shallowest is the Spanish, and then South African is approximately 20 centimetres. Okay, perfect. So that's excellent. So you've done that, and then they have more information here. French species, 2.5 centimetres long, and then they go on to talk about other details. So that would be other parts of the question. Okay, so that's our keyword there, shallowest, which is the opposite to deepest. Okay, so that's basically how you would complete a diagram task in the IELTS reading. And usually for a diagram, you get between three to 5 questions that you need to complete. So here we have 4. Sometimes you can have 5. I haven't seen one which has got 6, but you never know. So guys, do you have any questions now about diagram labeling? No and no. Okay. All right, that's fine. So what time is it now? I'm trying to see the time and I can't see the time. Can you tell me the time? Okay. All right, we've just got a few more minutes then. Do you have any questions about anything to do with the reading test for IELTS? Any questions at all for reading? Ah, right. Okay, no, they're different. So same type of questions, yes. So same type in terms of diagram labeling or short answer or multiple choice or true, false, not given, yes. Both academic and general training have the same types of questions. But what is different is the texts are different. So the academic texts are more, academic topics, obviously, like, education, with a lot more technical language, but the general training is easier language to understand, a bit more everyday type of language. Any other questions? Okay. So would you like to stay for the speaking, which is going to happen soon? Okay, great. All right, well, I'll see you in a little bit. I've just got to get the speaking one ready, so I'll see you in about five or so minutes.